All right, welcome to the YouTube channel of Mr. Slaney. Every year on my Unit 3 unit circle test, I like to ask this as the very first question, something that looks nearly exactly like the angle of rotation of a point on the unit circle is 19 pi over 6. What are the coordinates of this point? Now, right away, I think you can just have 2 points if you write something like this. That's going to be cosine of 19 pi over 6, comma, sine of 19 pi over 6. Right? That tells me that you know what you should be doing. You know that you should be thinking about cosine and then sine. Keep in mind, this is a non-calculator test. It's also worth mentioning, I will give you an angle in radians on this honors test. I just got to do one quick thing. So, what do? Well, once you've written this, you're going to check your table of all values that you have because you kept it, because you're a superb student. And you're going to say, all right, well, I need 19 pi over 6. Is that on here? No. But this is really your only resource, so what do? Well, 19 pi over 6, and I'm going to show you how to do this 2 ways. 19 pi over 6 is a little too high. Right? 19 pi over 6 is higher than 2 pi. Now, let's subtract 2 pi and see what we get. So 19 pi over 6 minus 2 pi. Remember, we're subtracting fractions, so we need to have a common denominator. The denominator here is 1. So I'm going to multiply this bad boy by 6 over 6. I can multiply by 1 wherever I'd like. In fact, I multiplied my bank account by 1 just this morning. Anyways. So, now what does this look like? Let's just continue. Let's only focus on this for right meow. 19 pi over 6, that doesn't change. This becomes 12 pi over 6. Notice in your head that this is still 2 pi. Now 19 pi minus 12 pi is 7 pi over 6. Right? So now 7 pi over 6. Is that on my table of all values? Bingo! 7 pi over 6. So now, the coordinates, what am I looking for? What are the coordinates of this point? So I need the coordinates cosine of 7 pi over 6, sine 7 pi over 6. Well, cosine of 7 pi over 6, I already circled it. Negative root 3 over 2. Sine will be negative 1/2. So, that's all I really need to write. Negative root 3 divided by 2, comma, negative 1/2. That would be a 5 out of 5 answer. Now, I was also talking with a student earlier today, and they said, Mr. Slaney, I just freaking hate radians. They don't make sense. I hate them. Student also said that they hate me, but that's okay. So how would we approach this if I really just hated radians? And again, I don't have a calculator in my hand. Well, let's convert 19 pi over 6 into degrees. Well, to do that, I'm just going to replace the pi with 180. Ooh. And now I see, 180 divided by 6, that's 30. So now I've got 19 times 30. And that's 570. Now 570 is a little bit more obvious, right? That would not be on the unit circle. 570 is much too high. I need to subtract 360 in order to make that useful. 0, 1, 2. So 210 degrees. Where do I see 210 degrees on my table of all values? I see that right here. So again, I'm going to get to the same row, but I'm just in degrees now. And again, now I'm thinking cosine of 210 degrees, comma, sine of 210 degrees. Once I've got all that, negative root 3 over 2. I'm going to get to the same place. Right, I got to the same row. Now, before I wrap up, should I do one more, but I show it with the negative? Right? Yeah, I should. Yeah. You're right, children. I'm not going to rewrite the whole problem, though, so I'm just going to show this. I'm just going to scratch out 19 pi over 6, and I'm going to say, what's a good negative angle? How about negative 3 pi over 4? So everything the same. Again, everything about what you see on the test, the first question on the test will be like this question. Now my angle of rotation is negative 3 pi over 4. Negative 3 pi over 4, well, that's much too low. So now instead of subtracting 2 pi, I am going to add 2 pi. My denominator here is 4, so I'm going to multiply by 4 over 4. Negative 3 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4. Negative 3 plus 8 is positive 5 pi over 4. Again, that's the angle that I'm looking for. 5 pi over 4. Is that on my table of all values? Yes, it is. It's a little bit lower. But again, now I'm going to be negative root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. Those are formatted slightly differently. Anyways, cosine of 5 pi over 4, comma, sine of 5 pi over 4, lots of parentheses, equals negative root 2 over 2, comma, negative root 2 over 2. And again, if I really just hated radians, how I would approach this problem, I would do negative 3 pi over 4 equals negative 3 180 degrees divided by 4. 180 divided by 4 is 45, so negative 3 times 45 degrees. Oh, negative 135. Did I do that right? Negative 135. Negative 135 degrees is still too low. Now instead of adding 2 pi, I'm adding 360. I get positive 225 degrees. And again, I would end up at the same place. I'd be looking for 225 degrees. Negative 2 pi over 2, negative 2 pi over 2. I'd get to the same spot. I hope that this video was helpful. Drop a like and subscribe. I'll be famous one day. And that student didn't actually say it. They hate me. I love all my children.